Have you ever noticed your dog follow you to the bathroom, even when nothing important seems to be happening? It looks like attachment, maybe even neediness, because they follow you so closely. But it's not. There's a moment where your dog becomes more focused, watching you as you move. And that shift is easy to miss. Your dog is not just following you. They are checking something. And in this video, I'll show you exactly what that is, and why most owners never realize it. It's not what you think. What makes this confusing is that it looks like something simple, something you've probably seen so many times that it feels predictable. Most people assume it's just attachment or habit, because their dog follows them so consistently. But if you watch closely, you'll notice something that doesn't fully match that explanation, and it becomes clearer the more attention you pay. Your dog doesn't follow you the same way every time, even though the situation looks identical. Sometimes the movement is immediate, almost automatic, as if there was no decision involved at all. Other times there's a brief shift first, where your dog becomes more focused before deciding to follow. That difference is not random, even though it looks subtle from the outside. It's a change in how your dog is processing what just happened. That processing happens almost instantly, but it's not automatic in the way most people think. It involves comparing what just changed with what your dog expected to happen next. In 2015, researchers studying canine cognition found that dogs don't simply respond to human behavior, but build expectations based on repeated interactions and adjust when those expectations shift. That means your dog is not reacting to you walking toward the bathroom, but to the moment that movement breaks expectation. And once that change is detected, your dog doesn't ignore it or move on. They investigate it. Something just changed. Dogs don't interpret the world the way humans do, because they are not looking for meaning first. They are tracking consistency. This is a core part of canine psychology, where your dog builds an internal sense of what normal looks like. Most of the time, your dog ignores this because it is predictable, but when you suddenly move toward a different space, that expectation shifts. And when that happens, your dog doesn't relax. They become more attentive in a way that is far more intentional than it appears. A study from Eötvös-Loránd University in 2019 found that over 60% of dogs form secure attachment patterns similar to human infants. But unlike humans, dogs continuously monitor those attachment figures in real time. And what looks like a simple decision to follow you is actually your dog verifying that the change they detected is safe and consistent with what they trust. What your dog is actually doing. When your dog detects that change, their brain activates a monitoring response designed to prioritize anything that feels slightly off. This is not panic and it is not confusion, but a controlled shift in attention that allows them to gather information before deciding what to do next. In a 2015 study published in Science, researchers discovered the oxytocin gaze loop between dogs and humans, showing that dogs use visual attention not just for connection, but for information gathering. Their focus sharpens, their movement becomes more deliberate, and they position themselves in a way that keeps you within awareness. What matters here is not what you are doing, but how that action fits or breaks the pattern they expect. This is where prediction becomes critical, because your dog is not simply reacting to your movement, but anticipating what comes next. And that anticipation is what allows your dog to stay one step ahead of the situation, even when nothing looks unusual from your perspective. And when something doesn't match, they move closer and stay engaged. This didn't start here. This behavior did not develop in modern homes, and it was not designed for comfort or convenience. It comes from environments where losing track of a group member could create risk, and maintaining awareness of movement was essential for survival. For thousands of years, dogs and their ancestors, including early wolf social structures, relied on maintaining awareness within their group. If someone moved away or entered a different space, it mattered. A 2018 study of a 14,000-year-old burial site confirmed that humans and dogs have shared close proximity for thousands of years. And in those environments, separation could mean losing track of safety or coordination, which is why the instinct to follow and monitor did not come from comfort, but from necessity. That system still exists today, and your dog is still using it. This is where it matters. There's a reason this behavior feels so deliberate, and it's because your dog is not moving randomly or out of habit. The way they follow you and how quickly they respond reflects a controlled reaction to something they are tracking. If you pay attention closely, you'll notice that your dog doesn't always behave the same way. Sometimes they follow immediately, sometimes they hesitate, and sometimes they watch before moving. That variation is not random. It is adjustment based on what they detect. A 2024 study on heart rate synchronization between dogs and owners found that dogs can align their physiological responses with humans, meaning they are not just observing behavior, but reacting to subtle internal changes. That means your dog may already be responding to something in your state, your movement, or your environment before it becomes obvious to you. If your dog suddenly stops following you in moments where they normally would, or reacts differently to these small changes in your routine, that shift means something changed in how they interpret the environment. And when that consistency changes, it never happens for no reason. It was never just following. So the next time your dog follows you to the bathroom, instead of assuming it's just attachment or habit, pay attention to how they move and how quickly they respond. Those details are not random. They are part of a system. Because in that moment, your dog is not just being curious, but actively monitoring a shift in their environment and checking that everything still aligns with what they expect. And once you start noticing these patterns, you realize that what seemed like a simple, repetitive behavior is actually one of the clearest examples of how your dog interprets change, predicts outcomes, and stays connected to you. Your dog is not following you for no reason. They are checking something. And the more you start noticing these moments, the more you realize they happen far more often than you ever assumed. And that something is not always obvious, but it is always important to them. And once you understand that, you start seeing these moments in a completely different way. If you want to understand what your dog is actually thinking, not what people assume, subscribe. Because behaviors like this are not random, they are signals. And once you start recognizing them, you see your dog differently, every single day.